KSJE and the Farmington Public Library present Cuentos Hahne and Tales.
Hello and welcome to Cuentos Hahne and Tales. My name is Melanie Leeson and I work at the Farmington Public Library. Today I am going to be reading several different books to you. They are all in one of my favorite series. It's the Arthur series by Mark Brown. The first book I have today is called Arthur and the True Francine. It was the first day of school. Everyone was worried about which teacher they would get. "I hope I get Miss Sweetwater," said Francine. "Anyone's better than Mr. Ratburn," said Arthur. "He sleeps in a coffin," said Buster, "and drinks human blood." A big black car drove up. "Who died?" said Francine. "Maybe Mr. Ratburn," said Arthur. A girl got out. "I'm Muffy Crosswire. Where's the third grade, antenna ears?" "Just ask for Mr. Ratburn," said Buster. They all laughed. Everyone read Mr. Ratburn's class list first. Francine groaned. "Not Ratburn," shouted Arthur. "Impossible," said Sue Ellen. In Mr. Ratburn's class, everyone sat in alphabetical order. No talking unless you raised your hand. Muffy was teacher's pet. Mr. Ratburn even believed her when she said the cat ate her homework. Francine always seemed to be in trouble. But Francine and Muffy were best friends. They both liked scary movies and pistachio ice cream. They even had the same middle name, Alice. Muffy called Francine Slugger. She was the best hitter on the softball team. Francine called Muffy Tinselteeth. Muffy went to Francine's to study for the big math test. Francine studied very hard. Muffy played with Francine's gerbil and called strangers on the phone. "Is your refrigerator running? Well, you better catch it." In the test, Muffy copied all Francine's answers, even the wrong ones. Mr. Ratburn called Muffy and Francine to his desk. Muffy smiled. "I didn't cheat," she said. What could Francine say? "Francine," he said, "I'll see you after school, every day this week." The big softball game against Miss Sweetwater's class was in 3 days. "Francine, how could you do this to us?" said Buster. "Without you, we'll lose for sure." Every day after school, Francine cleaned the boards and watched the team practice. Boy, did they need help. Every day, Muffy waited for Francine, but Francine walked right past. Muffy couldn't eat or sleep. Should she tell Mr. Ratburn the truth? It was the day of the big game. Miss Sweetwater's class already had 2 runs when Muffy ran to find Francine. "Help! We need you," said Muffy. "Mr. Ratburn says you're up." "Not unless you tell him the truth," said Francine. "Well, put on your mitt," said Muffy. "I already did." Francine saved the game with a home run. Everyone cheered and shouted, "We're number 1! We're number 1!" Muffy yelled, "Yeah, Francine! Way to go, Slugger!" Mr. Ratburn treated everyone to sodas at Billy's Burger Barn. "This is the best chocolate soda I've ever tasted," said Muffy. "Hey, Muffy, how'd you like to play for the team?" asked Buster. "Yeah, we have the spot for you," said Francine. "Not so fast," said Mr. Ratburn. "Muffy will be washing the boards next week." Muffy whispered to Francine, "What will I play?" "Scorekeeper," said Francine. "But you better learn to add, and no cheating." The next book I'm going to read is called Arthur's Family Vacation, and this is again by Mark Brown. It was Arthur's last day of school. Mr. Ratburn gave the class a surprise spelling test. All the other classes were having parties. "Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for," said Mr. Ratburn. "Report cards! And school's out." Everyone cheered. "I can't wait for baseball practice to start," said Francine. "I'm taking a college computer course," the brain announced. "I'll really miss you at Camp Meadowcroak this year, Arthur," Buster said. "I wish I didn't have to go on vacation with my family," said Arthur. "There'll be nothing to do and no one to do it with." "You'll have DW," Buster said, smiling, "for a whole week." "Don't remind me," said Arthur. Arthur's family spent the night packing. "I wish I could take my dollhouse," said DW. "I wish Buster could come," said Arthur. "This is a family vacation," said Mother. "All we need for fun is each other," said Father. "Let's take my swing set," said DW. "We can all use that." "Well, we're all packed," Father said the next morning. "Where's Arthur?" "He's on the phone with Buster," said Mother. "For the 100th time," DW added. "Before we leave," said Father, "does anyone need to use the bathroom?" "This is your last chance," said Mother. "Don't look at me," said DW. "On our way at last." Mother smiled. "A whole week of no cooking." "And no dishes," said Father. "A whole week without my best friend in the whole wide world," moaned Arthur. "Once you're at the beach, you'll feel better," Father said. "Are we there yet?" asked DW. "I have to go to the bathroom." Arthur spent the rest of the trip thinking about how much fun Buster must be having at camp. "We're here," said Mother. "Welcome to the ocean view," said the manager. "Where's the ocean?" asked Father. "Just across the highway, behind that shopping center." The manager pointed. "But there's a pool right here." "Well, I guess I'll go swimming," said Arthur. "Me too," said DW. "Wait for me." "Let's see our room first," said Mother. "You mean we all have to stay in this puny little room?" asked DW. "Don't worry," said Mother. "We'll only be sleeping here." "If you want to swim," said Arthur, "hurry up, get your suit on." "We have the whole pool to ourselves," said Arthur. "It's a good thing, too," said DW. "Our bathtub is bigger than this." That night at dinner, everyone ordered lobster. "Buster loves lobster," said Arthur. "This is lobster?" said DW. "I want a hot dog." "Can we go to the beach tomorrow?" Arthur asked. "Good idea," said Father. "I'm sure the rain will stop by then." "No beach today," announced DW the next morning. "I had a dream about Buster," said Arthur. "Why don't you write him a postcard?" Mother suggested. "Why don't we all write postcards?" said Father. "But what do we write about?" asked DW. "We haven't done anything yet." "Dear Buster, I bet you're having fun at camp. I wish I were there. Your best friend, Arthur." "Dear Grandmother, you were smart to stay home. Love, DW." "What do we do now?" said DW. "This vacation is a disaster." "At camp, there's always something fun to do," thought Arthur, "even on rainy days." "That's it," he said. "I'm taking us on a field trip." "I've never heard of a cow festival," DW said, "but at least it's more fun than our motel room." "Say cheese," said Father. "Let's hurry or we'll miss the milking contest," said Arthur. For the next few days it rained and rained, but Arthur didn't mind. He was too busy planning new places to go. He forgot all about missing Buster. On Wednesday they went to Gatorville. "At least the alligators get to swim," said DW. Thursday was busy too. After touring Flo's Fudge Factory, they all went on Jimmy's Jungle Cruise. I never realized there are so many fun things to do in the rain, said Father. I want to plan a field trip too, said DW. To the movies! But when they got there, DW was too scared to watch. I thought this movie was about fish, she whispered. Finally, on Friday, their last day, the sun came out. What a day, said Father. Just glorious, said Mother. Even DW was having fun. No one wanted to leave, but the next day they packed up and headed home. We're almost there, said Mother. Phew, said DW. I really have to go to the bathroom. Oh boy, said Arthur. I can't wait to see Buster. As soon as they got home, the doorbell rang. It was Buster. Camp was fun, but I missed you, he said to Arthur. How was your vacation? How did you and DW get along? Great, said Arthur. Take a look. Wow, said Buster. You really did have a great time. The next book I'm going to share with you today is Arthur's Teacher Trouble by Mark Brown. The bell rang. The first day of school was over. Kids ran out of every classroom. Everyone but room 13. Here, the students filed out slowly, in alphabetical order. See you tomorrow, said their teacher, Mr. Ratburn. I can't believe he gave us homework the first day, said Arthur. I had the rat last year, said Prunella. Boy, do I feel sorry for you. Make one wrong move, warned Binky Barnes, and he puts you on death row. He's really a vampire with magical powers, said Chris. As everyone was leaving, the principal came out. Are you ready for the September Spellathon? He asked. Yes! Cheered the crowd. Who's going to win this year? Asked the principal. Me! Shouted everyone. If I win this year, do I get my name on the trophy twice? Asked Prunella. Not if I can help it, whispered Francine. When Arthur got home, he slammed the back door. How was school? Mother asked. I got the strictest teacher in the whole world, grumbled Arthur. Have a chocolate chip cookie, said Mother. Don't have time, said Arthur. I have tons of homework. I'll eat Arthur's, said DW. I don't have any homework. You don't even go to school, said Arthur. I know, DW smiled. After dinner, Arthur was doing homework. What's that? asked DW. It's a map of Africa, said Arthur. Looks like a pepperoni pizza, said DW. Next year, when I'm in kindergarten, I won't have any homework. Miss Meeker never gives it. Mom, called Arthur. DW's being a pest. Time for bed, said Mother. You can finish your map of Florida in the morning. Africa, said Arthur. The next day, Mr. Ratburn announced a spelling test for Friday. I want you to study very hard, he said. The test will have 100 words. Buster looked pale. And, continued Mr. Ratburn, the 2 students with the highest scores will represent our class at the all-school spellathon. That week, everyone in Arthur's class studied harder than ever. Arthur spent a lot of time looking for quiet places to study. Suddenly, it was Friday and time for the test. Arthur could smell Miss Sweetwater's class making popcorn. He could hear Mrs. Fink's class leaving for a trip to the aquarium. Why did we have to get stuck with the rat? He whispered to Francine. Mr. Ratburn corrected their papers during lunch. Class, he said, most of you did very well on the test, but only 2 of you spelled every word correctly. Muffy smiled. Francine hiccuped. Buster patted his good luck charm. Mr. Ratburn cleared his throat. Our representatives for the class spellathon will be Brain and Arthur. There must be some mistake, said Muffy. Mr. Ratburn gave Arthur and the Brain each a special list of words. Just study these, and you'll be ready for the spellathon in 2 weeks, he said. Arthur's family helped him study, Grandma asked Arthur his spelling words. How about your C-H-O-R-E-S? Father asked. Have you made your B-E-D? Mother added. D-W helped too. When Francine and Buster came over, D-W answered the door. Arthur can't play, but I can, she said. I don't have to study. I can't believe the spellathon is finally here, said Grandma. Maybe now we'll get a little peace and quiet, D.W. said. Good luck, Arthur, said Mother and Father. From backstage, Arthur could hear the whole school out in the auditorium. Well, today's the big day, said Mr. Ratburn. How do you feel? I feel fine, the brain answered. Arthur gulped. I wish I was back in bed. The principal welcomed everyone and explained the rules. The brain had the first turn. He stepped up to the microphone. The first word is fear, said the principal. F-E-R-E, said the brain, a little too quickly. I'm sorry, said the principal. That's not correct. Are you sure? Asked the brain. What dictionary are you using? The brain wasn't the only one to drop out quickly. The representatives from Miss Sweetwater's and Mrs. Fink's class were gone in a flash. Before long, only Arthur and Prunella were left. It was Prunella's turn. The word is preparation, said the principal. Prunella looked down at her feet. Could I have the definition, please? She asked, after a moment. Preparation, the principal repeated. The process of getting ready. Of course, said Prunella. P-R-E-P, she paused. E-R-A-T-I-O-N. I'm sorry, that's incorrect, said the principal. Now Arthur gets a chance to spell it. Arthur looked out at the audience and took a deep breath. Preparation, he said. P-R-E-P-A-R-A-T-I-O-N. Correct, said the principal. Everyone in Mr. Ratburn's class cheered. Then Mr. Ratburn went to the microphone. I'm very proud of Arthur, he said. In fact, I'm proud of my whole class. They worked very hard. This is the last third grade I'll have in the spellathon, but next year I look forward to a new challenge. Teaching kindergarten. The last book I'm going to read today is called Arthur's Tooth, and it is also by Mark Brown. Finally, Arthur had a loose tooth. He wiggled it with his tongue. He wiggled it with his finger. He wiggled it all the time. One afternoon, while Arthur was wiggling his tooth during math, he heard a loud scream. Francine jumped up. My tooth just fell out on my desk, she cried. Class, how many of you have lost a tooth? Asked Mr. Marco. Everyone but Arthur raised their hands. When Arthur got home, he didn't want milk and cookies. What's the matter, Arthur? His mother asked. I'm the only one in my class who still has all his baby teeth, he complained. Don't worry, said his sister, D.W. Before you know it, all of your teeth will fall out, and you can get false teeth like Grandma Thora. Arthur persuaded Father to make a special dinner for him. Steak, corn on the cob, and peanut brittle. I can't believe one little tooth can take so long to fall out, said Father. The next day, Muffy brought in a whole jar of her teeth for show and tell. I got $2 for each one, she said. One from my dad and one from my mom. I put it all in the bank to earn interest. I'm waiting for my investment to double. Not me, said Francine. I'm spending mine. Later, the class saw a movie called Nasty Mr. Tooth Decay. Between the ages of 4 and 7, the announcer began, everyone begins to lose their baby teeth. Everyone, except Arthur, shouted Francine. The whole class laughed. Arthur slid down in his seat. He wiggled his tooth as hard as he could. In the cafeteria, Francine practiced her new tricks. Look, I can keep my teeth closed and still drink with a straw. And I can squirt water, too. Everyone line up for the squirting contest. Everybody, except Arthur. Babies with baby teeth can't squirt water. By the next day, Arthur was convinced his loose tooth would never fall out. His friends tried to help. Buster brought carrots. Sue Ellen showed Arthur how to put raisins over his teeth to make it look like they were missing. The brain invented a special machine. It's a tooth remover! Just put your head in here. Even Binky Barnes wanted to help. I can knock that tooth out in 1 second flat, he said. That night, Arthur spent a lot of time in front of the bathroom mirror. He got up very early the next morning to wiggle his tooth again. See how much looser it is? He told his parents. That's it, said his mother. You need professional help. You're going to the dentist today. Going to the dentist? Asked Francine. Boy, do I feel sorry for you. There were other patients waiting to see Dr. Sozio. Sorry, said the nurse. We're running late. Have a seat. Arthur, you were smart to bring a book, said Mother. Finally, it was Arthur's turn. I wish all my parents were as good at waiting as you are, said Dr. Sozio. How old are you now, Arthur? 7, said Arthur, and I still have all my baby teeth. I was 8 before I lost my first tooth, said Dr. Sozio. Everyone is different. Really, said Arthur. Dr. Sozio examined Arthur's loose tooth. This one should fall out very soon. Just wait. Arthur got back to school just in time for recess. Still have all your baby teeth? Francine asked. Then you can't be in the game. I'm the tooth fairy. Only people who have lost teeth can play. If you're the tooth fairy, said Arthur, I think I'll keep all my teeth. I can wait. He started over to the softball game. Whoever I touch, said Francine, loses a tooth. She flapped her arms. The one who loses the most wins. Francine twirled around and touched Buster. She twirled faster and touched Sue Ellen. Twirling even faster, she slipped and hit Arthur. Sorry, Arthur, Francine said, but I told you, no babies allowed. Arthur picked up his glasses. It's okay, he said. It's probably the nicest thing you've ever done for me. What do you mean? Asked Francine. And Arthur just smiled. The end. All of the books that I read today are in the Arthur series by Mark Brown. They are Arthur and the True Francine, Arthur's Family Vacation, Arthur's Teacher Trouble, and Arthur's Tooth. All of these books and many more by Mark Brown are available at the Farmington Public Library. Don't forget to check our library events calendar at www.infoway.org to find out about our upcoming events. Have a great day!
This has been Cuentos Hahne and Tales, presented by the Farmington Public Library and KSJE 90.9 FM.